Hello, Internet. Today I'm going to tackle the dreaded fix on my windshield. This is my 2020 Roadmaster, and the windshield gear that comes with the factory is plastic. The gear driver is metal, and therefore mine has finally stripped out. Now, you're going to see a lot of internet videos out there that just show you after you get the fairing off how to replace the gear. I'm going to take you from start to finish, how to get the fairing off, how to replace the gear, how to put everything back together. So, this is the way it starts, and this is the way it's going to end. Got my billet aluminum gear replacement here that I bought off the internet. I think it's around $100. I threw away the receipt for it, so I can't tell you for sure, but you can do a Google search if you need to do this. And another thing, Indian only extended this item as a warranty item on your motorcycle for 1 year past your original warranty. I found that out the hard way. I was always gentle with my how I used my windshield. Mine didn't strip out until just about a year ago. And 6 months ago, I asked one of the dealers that was where I was at the rally. I said, "Hey, check this out. See if this is." I heard it was covered under warranty. He told me it was. I was at a rally, so I said, "I'll wait till I get home. Use my home dealer." Well, here we are a year later, and I'm getting ready to go to another rally. I asked my local dealer, and they said, "Nope, sorry, yours expired a year ago." Imagine that, because 3 year warranty from 20 to 23, and then 24, it was gone. So I just got screwed on that one. So today I'm going to replace it myself and show you how to do it. If you want to know how from start to finish, stick around. Okay, so this is not a totally complicated task. Essentially, you're going to have to remove this headlight bezel. You're going to have to remove your headlight. You're going to have to remove your windshield, and you're going to have to remove your speaker covers on this side of the motorcycle so that it can all come apart. That's just to get the fairing off. You can remove the windshield, won't affect the fairing. But at the same time, I remembered my windshield has that dreaded rattle. So I saw another fix, and I'm going to try to do that while we're doing this today. So here we go. Now, the good thing to know is this is a metric number 4 hex head. That's the size of all of these exterior screws, the speaker screws, and I'm not quite sure if that's the same size as the ones down underneath here, but we're going to find out. I'm just going to start with the windshield. And one thing I also wanted to point out was protect your motorcycle. I've got towels over the front fender, my lower fairings, and my gas tank in case anything, tools, glasses, anything happens to drop. We don't want anything damaged. Now on your windshield here, you've got these small square washers on the back. So you want to make sure, if I can get this camera to focus on them, you want to make sure that you don't drop those down inside your fairing, or they're going to be a bear to get back out. So, see, there you go. So whenever you take these out of here, just be sure to keep your hands on the back side so that when these little square washers drop off, you've got them. Now we'll go ahead and get these speaker covers off here so I don't forget about them. Let me show you how this works here. So these speaker covers are held on by these screws right under here. 2 of them, and then it should come right off. 2 screws. That's it. And then whenever you go to take this bezel off of here, it's held on by little nubs that pop into a rubber grommet. So you're not gonna break it by pulling on it. Unless of course you just pull weird and pull at an angle. You want to pull it straight off as much as possible. So just grab it by the sides here. And slide down. And then it pops loose just like that. See, it's got these little nubs on the back here, pop into these rubber grommets. So now we're going to take this headlight thing off here, 3 hex head bolts, and this holder should come right off if I can find the right size socket. Give you a little closer shot here. So this is the plug right here, and they've got it tied together, stuck in there somehow. So I'm guessing that it's got a little plastic thing in here. See that little plastic thing right there? Keeps it popped up in here. Should still be able to just take that apart and take this headlight off here. So this little thing right back here on the back slides onto a clip that holds it in place there. Quite frustrating, but hey, we got it. Just something to know. Now here's the problem that I've run into. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws holding the top of this fairing in. Normally you wouldn't have to take this bracket off to get to those, but this is the only socket set that I have, and it's not long enough and skinny enough to get down to those screws because the angle butts up against the top of this. So I'm going to have to take this bracket off of here, which is nothing tragic. Okay, I might have found the trick. Get an even longer extension. If you don't have a longer extension, put 2 extensions together. All right, now we've got some screws down here underneath. You've got those 2 black hex head screws there. 1, 2, 3 of them. Same thing on this side. I think that's all of them. We'll find out. Now, one thing that I'm going to recommend, once you get all these screws off, this fairing might want to drop forward. So before I loosen up this side, I'm going to go ahead and tape this thing. And I'm just going to get a long strip of tape and tape it up here to this bracket so that a little security, just so it doesn't fall. All right, I think I've got all the screws out. just test my little tape theory and find out. There you go. Now you do have two plugs on the back here. Got two plugs right back here. You can see one there, one there. Undo this little white plug, undo the black and blue plug on each side, and your fairing is loose. And there you are, folks. This is the one you're trying to get to. Now you're going to have to take this off. So it wasn't a workaround totally, because you're still going to have to get that off, because that is actually connected to the thing that you want. Let me show you here. So now this thing here, it's going to have to come off, because here's our gear, and that thing is attached to the place we want to the piece that we want to replace up in there. So next, bracket. All right, so the next trick on this thing is we've got to get this top piece, this plastic piece, off the top so that we can access our gear. Now on this particular Roadmaster, this is a 2020, you've got these little rubber trim pieces. You want to peel that back far enough to where you get over the white or whatever color yours is. Just get off of this plastic piece, and then you're going to want to get to the two screws in the top of this little glove box, or whatever you want to call it. All right, after you get these two number 4 hex heads out, there are two. There's one underneath here on this side, same thing over here on this side, that you're also going to have to get out of there. Pop it on off just like that. Now, you do have this USB line in the top. It goes through your little glove box right here. So you want to be sure and make sure that is not in your way. Now, I have a USB cable tied to mine because that's how I charge my phone while I'm riding. So I'm just going to push that through. Again, it's just a rubber piece, and it should come through the bottom just like that. All right. Now we have access to our motor right here. My other camera battery just went dead. So let me show you how this works. We're going to remove this motor right here. We got to remove, in other videos you would see these are screws going that way. In this case, they are screws coming up from the bottom. So we are removing these nuts right here on the top. So in this case, we've got a 11mm socket. And we should just be able to lift this motor controller off of here. We do have one plug which is running underneath this GPS thing apparently, which seems to have lost all its stickiness. So we want to pull that out over here and disconnect. Pull it back underneath there, and bam, there you have your windshield motor. Now, if this is fried, as mine is, see that? You can see all the plastic threads ripped off in there. This thing is kaput, as they say. So now what we're going to do, we are going to have to take this thing apart, which means, number one, we take these two screws off here. We want to take these two screws off, these two nuts, lock nuts off down here so we can take this thing apart. Then we are going to pull this thing off, and the gear right here is what we're going to replace. That's the piece right there. So that one's going to go in there and replace this. So we've got to take this whole thing apart. Let me show you how that's done. All right, I'm sorry for the camera legs being in the way here. I'm having to work around so I can make sure you guys can see this. So again, first off, we're going to take off these two nuts here so that we can get this back piece off. And then, now again, we're going to have to undo these two. Here, we get this over here. Undo these two nuts here. We're going to have to undo these two nuts here. And we're going to have to undo this lock ring here so we can get this piece apart. All right. Ooh, that's not going to work. So we're going to first off take this lock ring off of here. You're going to have to get some lock ring pliers that spread apart. Put those right down in there. Man, that is a tight fit. There we go. Okay, so what we have here is a broken lock ring. Or at least one that is spread out more than it should. Now, if you can see, this lock ring seems like it has a smaller, thinner edge over here than it does on this side, so I might have had a bit of a defective one. I don't know that I can fix it. I may have to fix that. But moving on. Next thing we'll do is we have ourselves a 7/32 socket. Put on these right here. And what we're going to need to do is hold this in place with a small pair of channel locks, because word is that these are screwed into this bracket on this end. So you have to hold on to them down here. Shouldn't have loosened them up. So I have to hold on to this rod down here on this end so that it doesn't unscrew itself from the other end. Because all we want to do is remove the nuts. All right, we've got those. Now we want to take off these two down here. Different size socket, obviously. Now we're going to have to pop this thing apart. There we go. Just got to tap it right. Look at all this plastic carnage. And then this thing just slides off. And look at that. Not a single thread left in there, because it's all right here. Wow. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my parts cleaner, and I'm just going to clean this shaft off so that we can get this ready to be put back together. Okay, so what I did here is I took this piece over to my parts washer, got all this grease and everything off of here, got this, and then I took my air compressor, blew this thing dry, make sure that I didn't have any grease, any grease cleaner, any of that stuff on there. And now we're going to figure out how to fix it. So we're going to set that over here. Now look at all these threads that used to be on this thing. Isn't that crazy? So now we're going to have to take this thing apart. You got to remember, when this thing went together, this goes back on there like that. So we're going to put this back together because it will go up and down this way. So now we got to take these 4 nuts off here. Now word is that this entire thing, this block from this piece, is threaded all the way through, so you can just take these off and not worry about losing the screws. What size is it? In my case, this is a 9/32. Now this is the outside. This is smooth. Word is that you want to, you can tell that one's not exactly smooth, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that I keep these oriented just like they're coming off here. So the way this one comes off, we got to take these screws out. So I'm going to do it like this so I can keep it straight. And then this is the top, so I'm going to set it down just like that. Same thing for this one. Now again, this is the top, set it down just like that. Now this piece comes off, this piece goes on. Set it like this, set it like that, and put these screws right back in. And there you go. There we are, all back together. Now some people will put red grease or other grease in here. I've got some white lithium grease that I'm going to spray on the gear after we put this back together. So here we go back with this. Again, we want this to go back. We need to flip that over. So we've got those going in there like that. And see if we can't turn our gear a little bit, get it started. Okay, so what I did here, I brought this over here to the motorcycle. I actually plugged it back in. I plugged the motor back in because I couldn't turn this shaft by hand. I just set it there and then I operated and it just pulled it right down on there. Now you can see everything works like a charm. You got a metal drive against a metal piece, metal on metal, everything should last good. All right, let's put it back together. All right, back over here at my table, you can see, now you're going to see, again, a lot of people, they're going to be able to run this thing up and down. Now, granted, if I took this apart, maybe you could. Maybe that's what, you know, you take this apart, that gives you the opportunity to turn this by hand. Okay, it was sure easy for me to go over there and have the, you know, just plug it in at the motorcycle and take care of it that way. So I'm just going to be sure and coat it one more time with some white lithium grease. And now we're going to put this thing back together. Okay, folks, let me show you what I did. I put the old one back on here. I managed to get it pushed back over. It's locked into the groove right here. And then it wasn't broken. It wasn't bent out of shape that I couldn't fix. Now, I don't know how secure it is, but I used the opposite kind of pliers and I squeezed it back together as hard as I could get it, or as tight as I could get it back together. And I think it's on there. It's in the groove, it's locked in. So I think we're going to go with it. Let's put this bike back together. All right, so now it's time. Just reverse the process. Okay, so I wanted to show you something I finally figured out here. If you take this bracket and you raise your windshield all the way up, it makes it easier to get to these bolts right down here. There and there. Because you can tilt this out. Now what that does require is to undo this bracket, this part of the bracket. I've gone back and forth. I had it together, and then after I put the fairing on, I needed to get to those screws down there, so I raised the windshield all the way up, undid these top two bolts, and boom. Easy access. Almost done, so let's try to get it finished. All right, folks, all back together. Do the final test on it. Turn our power on. Windshield goes down. Windshield goes up. We'll do the double click on it. Should take it up all the way. Double click down. Should take it all the way down. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we just got to make sure our lights work. Blinker. Blinker. I don't think I can turn my headlights on without starting the motor. Oh, there it goes. So a headlight works. And do a real quick check on the running lights work. We're all good to go. All the lights work. Windshield works. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, this is a 2020 Roadmaster. That's what it takes to swap out the gear on the windshield for a 2020. It's different than a lot of them that are out there, a lot of Chieftain and Pursuit videos. This is the Roadmaster. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave any comments below. Come check out the channel next time. Stay tuned. Hit that thumbs up and reminder. Who knows what I'm going to post on here next time. Take care.